Is that it? Did we do it? Is that title card? Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Whatever this song is, we're turning it down. All right, we did it. Let's talk about the game, but first I'm going to turn this down. All right, first things first. The bottom center of the screen says that we've beaten 40 games in 2024 and 487 since we started doing this in 2020. Those numbers are now obsolete. We've now beaten 41 games in 2024 and 488 since we started doing this in 2020. Let's go. All right, let's talk about another Crab's Treasure. There is a lot to talk about, so I will try to go quickly. First of all, let's talk about the positives. And the overarching positive is that this game does a better job than most at taking the FromSoft formula, which is this is all very clearly derived from, and making it work in a really interesting and unique way. There are some things about this game that are very Demon's Souls. Very original Demon's Souls, especially all the bugs, and how awkward the game can be, and how unrefined it is, and how, mysterious some of the exploration can be. It's very Demon's Souls in that way. There's some things about it that are very Bloodborne when it comes to the story. Without giving any thing away, there are definitely moments where it's like, there are some big revelations that kind of change everything, kind of like in Bloodborne. There are some things about it that are very Sekiro. The parrying, the dodging, parrying, and grappling traversal is very Sekiro. So it takes all of those things and puts it together in a way that is super unique and super cool. The art style is obviously not like photorealism, but it's got its charm to it. It works perfectly. The world that it's built and the story is interesting without being too much, so the story isn't, it's not like the best story ever. It's very simple, but it works. It's a good vehicle for the combat and the gameplay. The boss fights are amazing. Most of them are great. There are a couple of exceptions, but most of them are excellent. Well done. The combat is so good. It's so complex compared to even something like Dark Souls. Like you've got parrying, you've got grappling in combat, you've got this shell ability that you can use that gives you different spells, and you can use your shell as a hammer. And there's all these different abilities you can unlock. You can equip perks on your gear in a way that it's all very customizable in a very satisfying way. So all of that is great. And we talked about the combat. So the whole package is amazing. And if that was all that there was to say about this game, this would maybe be a top 20 game ever, because I love the world. I love the combat. I love the bosses. I love the story. I love the art design. It's all great, except the bugs are so horrible that it drags the entire experience down. I could talk for a while on just the different types of bugs, not instances where they happened, just the kinds of bugs that all happened 80 different times, falling through the floor and into the bottom of the world, in the middle of boss fights, doing that. Getting stuck in between rocks and not being able to move and having to reset the game. Combat mechanics not working properly over and over and over again. The heal system is horrible. And I guess that's not really a bug, but in Souls-likes where it takes a second to heal, and if you get interrupted, you just don't get to heal. That's all well and good. That's almost every Souls-like does that. This one, not only does it take a second, but if you get hit while you're trying to heal, it drops the healing item and then you have to go pick it up, and picking it up doesn't even cause you to heal. Then you have to go through and heal again. It's rough, man. That was an interesting choice. But that was deliberate. I can forgive that. It's all the bugs, man. I mean, you cannot go... There are things in combat that don't work correctly. You get stuck all the time. The game just straight up froze multiple times. I would lose long segments of progress because the game's like, oh, you don't need an autosave here. So I'm forgetting half of them. There's a ton of bugs. Oh, the audio just drops out where you don't have any sound effects, so suddenly you can't hear enemies coming from behind you. You can't hear enemies' attack sounds when they're about to attack. It's kind of important when you're trying to parry. A bunch of the audio would just drop out. Oh, the frame drops. There would be frame drops that were so bad that the entire game would freeze for like 5 seconds. And they happened in the worst, the worst times where you're trying to make a jump. And I know why it's happening. It's happening because it's trying to load one area because you're going into a different area. It would always happen around like doorways and like when you're going into a new open area, it would do that. And it would be, but it would do it, and you would have to grapple right in the middle of it, and you just physically can't do it. There were times that like I had to like try and get next to the grapple on the far side of it to hit it, so that I wouldn't go back far enough to reload and try and get onto a ledge without having to hit the load. I mean, it was so broken. It's so broken. And at first, for probably the first half of the game, what I was running on was, well, yes, it's very broken, it's very flawed, it's got a lot of jank, but so did Demon Souls, and Demon Souls is one of my favorite games ever. Demon Souls was able to transcend that. It's almost better for the bugs. Like, that's part of the difficulty built in. This game is way beyond that. It's way, way, way worse than Demon Souls. Demon Souls doesn't crash multiple times an hour. Demon Souls doesn't freeze so hard that you can't progress. Demon Souls doesn't cause you to fall through the floor with a boss fight over and over and over again to the point that you have to change up your strategy, so that you have to change up your strategy to get around the bugs. In this game, like, a lot, like pretty much constantly. And that's not even counting like some of the stuff that I wouldn't necessarily classify as bugs, but just things that didn't work that well correctly. There's like a hammer ability where you can use a shell on the end of your fork for a hammer. It just wouldn't trigger half the time, and a lot of times I'm trying to do it in the middle of a boss fight and it just wouldn't work, and then get hit and die. The bugs are among the worst I've ever seen. And I play games at launch all the time. I'm used to a ton of bugs. This is on a whole nother level. It soured the entire experience for me. I still really, really love everything else about this game. So I don't know what I'm going to do when it comes to ranking this game, but the bugs are so bad that it's not going to be a top 20 game. It would have been. I mean, this is like Dark Souls level good. This game is like really, really, really good, except for the bugs. But the bugs are so horrible that it makes everything worse. And as the game goes on, they get worse and worse. In the beginning, they weren't too bad. But as the game goes on, I feel like that's a thing, because I feel like developers fix the bugs at the beginning of their game before the end if they run out of time, because they know that's what reviewers are going to play. That's what they're just doing in order. I just have a theory about that, because I've played a lot of games at launch, and it seems like a lot of buggy games, the further in you go, the worse the bugs get. And that definitely happened here. So I did really enjoy this game. There's going to be some things about this game I'll remember forever, because it was a very memorable game. But god damn, they've got to fix it. And some of the stuff I bet they don't ever patch. Like some of the frame rate stuff, some of the traversal, getting stuck in the traversal. It's like, some of it seems like they can't. Like they'd have to redesign some of the game. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. But yeah, the bugs were so fucking horrible. They were so bad. Everything else about this game is amazing. It really is amazing. All right. I'm going to have to do some thinking as to whether I think this is my favorite game of the month. But because I don't know. There's so much good and so much bad here. I'll think about it. In any case, we did it. That's it for Another Crab's Treasure. Last order of business. Another Crab's Treasure. Thank you for allowing us to play you. I really hope you get some stuff fixed before more people play you. But we are now going to delete you from our console and never play you again. Bye. Thank you. Thanks for the headache and the good time.